Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to get into something really interesting. It's a piece of music tech that you've definitely heard, probably more than you even realize. We're talking about the evolution of Harmonizer and pitch shift pedals. Yeah, so our mission here is to sort of trace how this really groundbreaking technology went from being these enormous, super expensive boxes you'd only find in top studios to the little stomp boxes musicians have right at their feet today. We've got this great timeline we're working from. It lays out all the key steps. But here's the thing that really grabbed me, the hook. A device that cost, what, over $1,600 back in 1975, which, let's face it, is a serious chunk of change even now. And now you can find similar tech for under 200 bucks. How did that happen? And what does that shift mean for the music you actually listen to?
It's a great starting point because these weren't just, another effect. They were genuine game changers right from the start. Think about it. Suddenly, one singer could lay down perfect harmonies in real time. Or a guitar player could create these complex lines that normally, well, you'd need multiple players or painstaking overdubs for. It really did expand what a single musician could pull off in the studio. It was almost like sonic cloning, but musical.
Sonic cloning, I like that. So, okay, let's go back to the beginning of that. Where did this all start? What was that the first real digital pitch shifter? I'm guessing it wasn't exactly easy to come by.
No, definitely not easy. The story really kicks off in the mid-'70s. We're talking 1975, with the Eventide H910 Harmonizer. That was it. The world's first commercially available digital pitch shifter. Essentially, it combined digital delay with real-time pitch shifting. Pretty advanced stuff. It had, I think, about a 2-octave range. And yeah, that price tag, over $1,600, put it firmly in the realm of professional studios only.
Okay, so a studio giant. Foundational tech, but not exactly something your average garage band could get their hands on.
Not at all. But the H910, it laid the groundwork. And Eventide didn't stop there. They built on that success pretty quickly. You had the H949 coming out just a few years later in '78, and then through the '80s, even more powerful rack units like the H3000, the H760. These things just kept getting better, more memory, more harmony voices, remote control capability. They weren't just updates. They really became the sound you heard on huge records, on massive tours. They cemented this technology as essential for high-end production.
Right, right. From one box to a whole family of industry workhorses. But like you said, still mostly studio-bound or maybe big touring rigs.
Yeah.
What about making it more accessible? You mentioned the late '70s, something about a baby harmonizer. That sounds like the turning point for getting it out there.
Exactly. That was the next big step. In 1978, an engineer at Eventide, Richard Factor, he saw that need. Musicians wanted this sound live on the road. So he managed to shrink the core of the H910 down into the Eventide HM80.
The baby harmonizer.
That's the one. And it was clever. It was still a rack mount unit, so, more manageable for touring setups than the big H910. Crucially, it had expression pedal control for the pitch shifting. That was huge for guitarists and keyboard players wanting real-time control. And it had an auxiliary switch, too, for toggling repeats, I think. This was the bridge. It really brought that studio-quality harmony effect to touring musicians. Imagine plugging that in back then. Suddenly you could do those sounds live on stage.
Yeah, that must have felt like a massive leap forward for live performance. Okay, so the tech is getting smaller, getting onto stages, but then comes the late '80s, and something really clicks, especially for guitar players. The pedal revolution starts properly. We're talking Digitech Whammy, 1989. That wasn't just another pedal, was it? It was like the first big one for pitch shifting.
Oh, absolutely iconic. Yeah, the Whammy was the first mass-market digital pitch shifter pedal. Digitech basically took the tech they had in their rack units, like the IPS-33, and crammed it into that red pedal format, and it offered that huge range up to 2 octaves up or down, controlled by your foot.
Right, that dive bomb sound.
Exactly, that signature whammy sweep. But here's the really interesting part, I think. It wasn't perfect. It had these, famously glitchy artifacts when you pushed it, little digital hiccups in the sound. But instead of that being a problem, those quirks became part of its charm. They became its signature sound. It completely changed how people thought about pitch shifting on guitar. Those flaws became desirable, It became essential for alternative rock experimental stuff. Loads of players built their sound around it.
That is fascinating, how a technical imperfection becomes the defining feature. It really shows how artists interact with technology, doesn't it? They don't just use it, they shape it.
Absolutely. It's that creative feedback loop. The engineers might have seen it as a bug, but the players heard it as a feature, a really cool feature.
Okay, so fast forward a bit. We get into the 2000s, 2010s. Technology's obviously moved on leaps and bounds. What's the next big shift? Getting more complex harmonies into these small boxes.
Pretty much, yeah. We enter the era of polyphonic harmony in pedals, meaning they can track chords, not just single notes, and generate harmonies based on those chords.
Ah, okay. That's a big deal.
Huge deal. A great example is the Boss PS6 Harmonist from 2010. It's a standard Boss compact pedal, but inside it's got some serious DSP digital signal processing doing the work. It had like 4 different modes, including 2 and 3 part harmonies, and it was way easier to use. You basically just told it the key you were in, pick the interval, and boom, instant backing vocals or cool shifted sounds. Even those extreme dive bomb effects, the super bend thing, all in that little box.
Right. The power that used to fill a whole rack space now fits on your pedal board easily.
Exactly. And it kept evolving. Look at something like the TC Electronic Quintessence that came out in 2017. That pushed polyphonic harmony even further. It could do, I think, up to 8 custom harmonies. And it used their tone print tech, so you could literally beam presets from your phone into the pedal. Super flexible.
Wow.
Plus, it had their MASH foot switch, which is pressure sensitive, so you get expressive real-time control over pitch bends just by how hard you press the switch. It's like having an expression pedal built right in. It really sums up that trend we've been tracking, taking studio-level flexibility and power and making it convenient, intuitive, and pedalboard friendly. It just empowers artists incredibly.
What a journey, eh?
Yeah.
From those, 5-figure studio racks that only the elite could touch, down to these sub-$200 pedals that can do incredibly complex things. It's really gone from a kind of studio curiosity to an absolutely essential creative tool for so many musicians.
It really has, and the impact on music is just undeniable. Guitarists, keyboard players, even vocalists using these things live now. You can get everything from just a subtle thickening effect, like doubling a part an octave down, to completely wild, multi-voice, pitch-shifting soundscapes, all controlled right there at your feet.
Incredible.
So maybe the next time you're listening to a track and you hear that perfectly stacked harmony, or maybe a guitar doing something that sounds almost impossible, take a second and think about that hidden journey, that whole evolution of technology that made that sound possible. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? With tech still shrinking and getting smarter, what kind of sounds will this stuff unlock next? What's the next step in this evolution going to be?